accept our apologies for being 12 minutes late. So I'll call the June 15th meeting to order of the Village of Hanover Park. Madam Clerk?
Trustee Bancole?
Here.
Trustee Prigi?
Here.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Here.
Trustee Porter?
Here.
Trustee Kunkel?
Here.
And Trustee Husani.
Here.
Thank you very much. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. Presentations.
Can I call?
Oh, yes, of course.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
And Trustee Bancole.
Yes.
Thank you. First presentation, do I have that with me?
You want this one first, or?
No, I'm looking at the GFOA Awards for Excellence in Financial Reporting for fiscal year 2021 and Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for 2023. Do I have it with me? Okay, who's the keeper of the award?
Sue,
Sue. Oh, my goodness.
there's copies in the packet.
There's a copy in the packet. Well, I would normally present this. Pardon me?
I have it, Julian.
Then I'll present that.
Read that too.
Will our-
He has it.
Okay.
Very good. Remy, would you like to come up? The Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting falls essentially on our finance director, on our treasurer, right? Oh, that's me and you all may hear me eventually. So, press release says that Hanover Park, Illinois has received the GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation for its budget fiscal year, this says 2023, and that's the year past. Award represents significant achievement by the entity. It reflects a commitment of the governing body and the staff to meet the highest principles of governing budgeting. In order to receive the budget award, the entity must satisfy nationally recognized guidelines for effective budget presentation. These guidelines are designed to assess how well an entity's budget serves as a policy document, a financial plan, an operations guide, a communications device. Budget documents must be rated proficient in all 4 categories and in the 14 mandatory criteria whose categories will receive the award. So I will present a facsimile of the official award to Remy and thank you and demonstrate the appreciation of this board for the good work you do in managing the budget, keeping us on track, keeping us focused. We just don't nilly-willy do things, do we? I keep asking her for a dime and she says, "You're not worth 2 cents." That's not what she says at all. I'm having a little fun here.
You owe me 50 cents.
I owe her 50 cents. But I'm very proud of the fact that this village, during your tenure, for over how many years?
Gonna be 8.
38.
No,
Oh, even the mic dropped.
Mic drop.
38.
8 in the village of Pineapple Park.
8 years? I know we've been getting these for more than that, but it
Yes,
goes,
it's gonna be, for the budget, it's gonna be 34 years. And for the financial report, it's 37 years.
do you think that's pretty good? I think we're serving the people of Hanover Park quite nicely. Because of that, we found a way not to raise taxes for 7 or 8 years. I think we're not doing a bad job. So Dave, if you can take a photo of me presenting this, and then you have to have the obligatory shaking hands with the board members. Here we go. Let me get rid of this thing. All right, are we having fun yet?
Oh,
You guys, we all work too hard. Looks like Dave got a new phone. Okay. Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there's nobody to present it to, just read it from the dais. Pardon me? You got someone to present it to? No, just read it from the dais. Okay, yeah. We don't have anyone here to receive this proclamation, but I will read it. And share it as appropriate, which is somewhat done. Whereas lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer questioning plus LGBTQ plus Americans have made important and lasting contributions to our nation in every field and endeavor. Whereas LGBTQ plus rights and movements have tirelessly united each other, their families, friends, and all those committed to justice and equity in the crusade to outlaw discriminatory laws and practices. And whereas LGBTQ plus Americans in every field of endeavor have made solid contributions to America and are an integral part of our American fabric, and with each passing year, the American people become more receptive to diversity and more open to those who are different from themselves. Whereas the Village of Hanover Park embraces diversity and understands that the LGBTQ plus community is an important part of the Hanover Park's diversity. And whereas this June, the Village of Hanover Park recognizes and observes LGBTQ plus Pride Month and celebrates the progress we have made in creating a society more inclusive and accepting of the LGBTQ plus community. Now therefore, I, Rodney S. Craig, Village President of the Village of Hanover Park, Illinois, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2023 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month in the Village of Hanover Park, Illinois, and encourage all Hanover Park residents to join in this observance. Dated this day, 15th day of June 2023. Thank you. All right. Town hall session. Anyone signed in for town
We have
hall?
quite a few town halls, so I'll start with the first one that's submitted. Stefan? Thank you.
Stefan,
Mr.
good
Mayor,
evening. Yes.
members of the trustees, I thank you for your time. Excuse me. I'm here on the problem of boulders in the parkway. I've lived in Hanover Park for 36 years. When I came to Hanover Park, at my house, the boulders were there, and the person who sold me the house said, "They're there for a purpose. Wait and see before you make any decisions about them." And I listened. Come to find that many times the boulders have been struck. The one boulder to the right of my house has prevented cars going into my neighbor's garage 3 times. For fact, the one boulder is very, very big, and it got hit, and it took off a chunk that was kind of on an enormous side, but still left a nice boulder there. The boulders aren't there for decoration or curb appeal. They're there to protect my property and, in cases, my neighbor's property. I was very surprised, living here 36 years, no problems, no questions, no issues. And all of a sudden, I get a letter in the mail. Now, I can't see very good, so I have to take my spyglass and slowly read the letter. I'm going, my gosh, I'm code enforcement. What did I do wrong? I start reading the letter, and it says that my boulders that have been there for 36 years, where there haven't been any issues, are in violation of law. I was shocked. I mean, and all of a sudden, and then they're threatening that they're going to be cited for a code violation. I would think the village would be a little more reasonable when they do something like this after something's been there for 36 years. But here they come across and say, with a hammer, you better be careful. You shouldn't have those boulders there. Well, the boulders aren't there to cause problem. People, and they're not blocking a driveway, they're not blocking a sidewalk, they're not blocking the street, nor do they hinder traffic going by the street. They're set back from the curb enough that traffic can flow freely. What I'm here to ask for is anything for anybody, even myself and my neighbors, to be grandfathered in that if you had a boulder there, you should be able to maintain that boulder if it is meant to be for protection of your property. Give you an example, my house was struck about 3 years ago from a guy, and what he was trying to do was he was headed towards the boulder. Had he continued without that rock being there, he would have came into my front door. Because the boulder wasn't there, he struck the corner of the house. Have you ever been in a house with a car striking your house? It's pretty scary, and it's very loud, and it's very concerning about the safety of the house. So basically what I'm here for is to ask the Hanover Park to consider grandfathering us people. There are people, my neighbors, many times he's got a rock to protect, a couple of them, rocks to protect their mailbox. Cars have come up and trying to partially, did knock down the box, but didn't get away right away. Because the rock was there, they got hung up on the rock. It gave the owner a chance to find out who was the culprit that knocked their box down. And a couple of times, the police were called to capture the person that knocked the mailbox down. Had the rocks not been there, the person would have gotten away scot-free. So to keep it simple, I guess, and all in fact, what I'm asking for is that the village considers grandfathering in people that have had the rocks there for all these years. Myself, 36 years. I knew they were there before I came, so they've probably been there maybe since the building was built in 1974. I mean, that's half my lifetime I've lived here in Hanover Park with those rocks there, and all of a sudden they're illegal. And if there was an ordinance, why wasn't it enforced sooner? If the ordinance has been on the books for years, then I consider the ordinance mute because it was never enforced.
So let me, we do limit to 5 minutes. We don't debate tonight on the issue, but we're going to take this under advisement. I'll probably drive by and take a look, see what you're talking to. Are there
Okay.
others here who are speaking on the same issue? Do I have your addresses?
Yes.
Okay, if I have your addresses, I'll tell you what, we'll take a look, I'll drive by and take a look, make sure I have all those addresses. And then the board will take that under review and advisement, we'll talk to staff. So we'll start a process to take a look at that.
Okay?
Unless you all want to take 5 minutes to go up and speak on the issue, you're welcome to do that. But I see we have a number of people on.
Here. Cindy, did you want to speak?
I have a variety of different things.
Thank you.
She has-
Yeah, come on, you're welcome. Thank you very much. Who's next?
Cindy,
Cindy?
yes.
And you're on, I got an address.
Yeah, Cinema Drive East.
Well, you're all, are you all on cinema?
No.
State your full name, please.
Cindy Henrik.
Cinema. Bob Hayne is here?
Yep.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Great. Go ahead, Cindy, whenever you're ready.
Go
Thank you.
ahead.
Thank you. I came tonight because I wanted to give you my perspective from a homeowner that's been in Hanover Park for 30 years. And I cover a variety of issues. One of them, of course, is the enforcing of the code for the rocks. You know, when I bought my house, my rock was there too. It came with the house. When I talked to some neighbors and they had talked to code enforcement, one of the reasons they had given was that they were tired of lawsuits. So I filed a Freedom of Information Act specifically asking how many, in the last 2 to 3 years, how many times there has been a lawsuit that has been filed due to rocks in the parkway. Per Leah Bartlett, the public access counselor, came back and responded, there have been none. The ordinance states it shall be unlawful for any person to cause, create, or maintain. I have pictures of Stefan's and my yards where the boulders were. I have moved mine out across the sidewalk, so I would not get a fine for any reason. My thing is, why does it state any person and eliminates the village of having to follow their own code? How in the world are the rocks obstructing public works? They redid the roads and the curbs, and they didn't have any problem, to my knowledge. You want control, mow the parkways, every single one in Hanover Park. Replace all the mailboxes when they get knocked over from the drunk drivers and the people who drive too fast. 25 years ago, a drunk motorcyclist without a motorcycle license lost control turning onto Greenbrook from County Farm Road. It cost us about $6.8 million in a lawsuit that increased our property taxes for 15 years. Now, as I go by Arlington Drive, there is what I would call an obstruction between the east and the west lane of traffic. It has rocks on both ends. Why are the rocks on both ends? That could be an obstruction if someone loses control, slides into it. Who's to say we won't have another lawsuit? You know, is it going to be taken down in 10 days like us homeowners were told? Or are they waiting for another lawsuit, like I said, to happen? There is a homeowner that is trying to figure out how to get weeds out of the parkway where the village planted grass. No one in the village will even come and look to recommend something other than what this homeowner already has tried. Not 1 ounce of help from the village. I could go on, but I won't. Why does it take months to get an electrical problem with the streetlights? Ladd Lane was out for 2 to 3 months. Lemon Lane was out for about a month. The intersection of Stairway and Cinema, I don't know how long that was out, but they ended up having to take the top off of the light pole and then eventually bring it back. Again, are we waiting for someone to be mugged, injured, or who knows what else? You can drive around and identify all the parkways that have rocks, but you can't drive around and identify when streetlights go out. We had to have multiple neighbors call into Public Works before they started to increase the response, or the speed of their response. If Public Works gets 2 to 3 months to fix a streetlight, why don't we get the same courtesy as homeowners? And I have an issue somewhat with some of the crumbling sidewalks. A few years ago, I had fallen. I was in a boot for a while from uneven concrete. After reporting it to the village, it took another year to truly fix the problem. They temporarily patched it with asphalt. I can point out to you many areas of Hanover Park that is not keeping up what they control. Don't hold homeowners to a different standard than you hold the village or Public Works. Thank you for listening. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you. You're right at 5 minutes.
Just me.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We have others that are.
Bob?
Bronson to drive. Good evening, Bob.
Hi, good evening. It's
Been a
good to
while.
see you back here.
Yes?
I was here 2 weeks ago and I spoke with the others here, so I'm going to try not to repeat much. Hain,
Hain.
H-A-I-N.
Sorry I missed you.
I'm sorry you did, because it was good. I talked to Public Works and to the person in charge of getting rid of boulders, and I got absolutely nowhere with him. I mean, he, as probably he should, just took the party line. I mean, this is the ordinance and we're gonna follow it. But as my neighbors have already explained, no one gets hurt so far by a boulder. If someone is gonna smash into the boulder that I have been talking about, the boulder will probably save the lives of the children playing in front of their house. If a boulder can kill somebody, so can a tree, a fire hydrant, a light post, a stop sign. I don't want to remove any of those, but I want you guys to remove this ordinance. It's stupid. It is not serving the public. It's a blanket statement. I've been here 48 years. That rock has been here 48 years. It's not mine, it's my neighbor's. It never hurt anybody, and lots of kids played on it. I don't know, I don't want to be harping. My neighbors express themselves and their frustration pretty well. Yeah, the last thing I said was the solution is simple. Vote for this ordinance to be removed. It's unsafe and stupid. Please, common sense will rule the day. Thank you all.
Thanks, Bob, for being
Thank
here.
you.
Is it an ordinance? Huh?
Yes.
Okay. Someone else needs to speak?
Leonore?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Leonore King.
Okay, so I wasn't going to talk about boulders, but rolling along. I do kind of agree with everybody here. I don't have boulders, but I can tell you that last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, there was a Mercedes going down the cul-de-sac, not even my cul-de-sac, which I can go on for days about my cul-de-sac, which I feel is ignored, doing like 45, 50, went around that circle, and all I could think of is, if he lost control, he'd be in somebody's house. So I, being the witch that I am, pulled my car, because I was like parking, pulled it in the street so that he had to stop. And he's like waving to me. And I was like, no, not cool. There's kids, there's dogs. If somebody's gonna go over that boulder or that boulder's gonna hit someone, it should be the idiot driving like that. So I don't have a boulder, I'm not gonna make that my big problem, but I do have problems with cul-de-sacs and definitely with parkways. Is there code enforcement here today? Is anyone from code enforcement? No, okay. I feel like they're bullies. I feel like I have had problems. I'm the one with the weeds, okay? There was a tree taken down, like, I don't even know how long ago, years ago. And the stump was not ground out. It was not done by Hanover Park. It was, resourced out. The stump was never taken out. I have gone through, I asked them, can you level it out since the stump's here? Can you at least like level it out, put some dirt there? Because I used to take a lot of pride in my house. I'm kind of losing that pride for the whole town, to be honest. All I grow is weeds. I've done Menards, I've done Scots, I go summer, winter, fall, I've done everything. All I have asked is somebody come and tell me, what do you use on the parkways? What else can I use? What am I growing? It's your nasty dirt that you put down. It's your tree stump that has cut up my lawnmower blades for years. I get blown off. And then I got a ticket for having my grass too long. After I had called the village multiple times and said, hey, I'm not cutting the parkway because I want you to come see what's growing here and tell me how to get rid of it. Nothing. I get a ticket. The ticket and the letter were so bullyish, cut it or we're gonna cut it for you, we'll put a lien on your house. I was in tears for days. I'm like, if we have the same code enforcement in the same area, can't they come up and say, hey, she cuts her grass every week, but she's not doing it, maybe something's wrong, maybe she broke a foot or something, individualize it, don't be so, we're gonna put a lien on your house. And when I think, because my weeds, your weeds, were a little bit too long, they weren't ankled up or anything else, and yet there are small appliances on people's grass, there are people running businesses, trucks all day up and down my street. The asphalt on my parkway has got, around my cul-de-sac is nothing but huge holes. Trucks on the street overnight, where's their code enforcement, where's their tickets? So, I'm sure I'm in 5 minutes because I talk too much, but I wanna love my house again. I wanna love my block. I got 2 minutes, okay. I wanna love my house, I wanna love my neighborhood, I wanna love this town, but I'm just feeling so disappointed and disillusioned. And, my last thing is garbage. I don't know if it's code enforcement, if it's waste management. As I was coming here today, if people have garbage overflowing, because we have a lot of squirrels and raccoons, and the other day I found pizza in my backyard. I'm like, I don't have pizza. Is there a way that we can get these people that have such large families with the huge garbage, can we get them a second can or something so that their garbage isn't all over the street? I don't know. But anyway, I thank you. I'm sure in like 5 minutes.
I have
You have it.
Got it? And I mean, now I just cut the weeds. I'm like, you know what, if I have to cut the weeds every week and I have to cut my grass every 2, so be it. I'm done fighting about that. Now I'm onto the streets. Yes, yeah, with the paving. I'm onto the paving, but I've already been emailing about
Well,
that, so.
listen, we follow up on these things. You know, I have your addresses, and we work together. A lot of times, like a grass ticket, it's a 10-day notice.
Yeah,
You know, it's a 10-day, oh, by the way, you know.
but it's a mean one. Have you read it? Because I carried it around on my phone and I was in tears. I'm like, oh my God, I've always tried to do so good, and you know, and it will put a lien on your house. I'm like, well, give me a couple days to cut it, then send me the nasty letter. Don't
Well,
send me it on the
It
same day.
shouldn't be an attempt to intimidate or bully anybody.
Felt that way, though.
I think the fact that we don't do an initial ticket, we do, you know, like warning. And, you know, it's a courtesy heads up.
Courtesy
But
heads
if
up
you-
with the lien against your home in there. That was my courtesy letter. And the door hanger, all on the same day.
Well, usually I get a letter when you get all stressed out like that, so, I'm more than willing to, drive around and take a look, try to understand, the situation. I'm gonna focus on the boulder, because we were talking about a lot of other things.
Yeah.
The sidewalk, you know, those things take time. But we'll get back to you all, okay?
Yep, I
And
thank
we'll
you.
follow through. I don't know what the ordinance says
On
about
the boulder.
boulders in the parkway, you know.
I just feel like there are bigger fish to fry than their boulders.
stairway
Yep,
that lead into that area, I just live with Curtis.
yep.
I'm kind of familiar with the area.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's,
It's a nice area. You know, and I respect your opinions on the thoughts, and we'll take a look, we'll follow up. I'm not even familiar with the boulder in the parkway ordinance, so we'll take a look, you know. Thank you for.
somebody was doing their homework.
Thank you for your concerns and
Thank you.
taking the time to come and
Mr. Mayor,
address it.
would you want to see the letter where it states what the ordinance is?
Oh,
Or would you rather put that off?
do you want to see the letter?
You got a letter? Oh, I like letters. Are you saving 20 cents? What, I don't even know what a stamp costs today. Oh, this is the letter that came to you.
It was surprising.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
I'll get right back to it, absolutely.
Yeah. You'll get it back. Anyone else to come before us tonight?
Yes. Mr.
Good.
Hank.
Mr. Hank?
Yeah, your favorite guy.
Hank would carry the rocks with him and show them.
Yeah, I'm
Hi,
here.
Hank.
Hello, my name is Hank. I'm here to make America better. I got an eternity to make it better because I'm planning to go to heaven. I'm starting from right now. Like they say, America forever. Well, anyway, I got to go fast because I only got 5 minutes. Last time I talked about clerks being union. If you guys got the money to pay them, property taxes no more. How would you like to work for 30 years, pay off your mortgage, and You know, you still don't own the property, it's not yours, you don't pay the taxes, it's not yours. Yeah, you get this deductible. Yeah, but you're not 21 or 22 anymore. Your body's burned out from working or from living, one of the two. I mean, living, you know, just to live, your body goes shot. There's no freedom in this world. There's too much cruelty in the world. You got to eat, you know, oh, okay, here. Property taxes paid don't stop eating. People don't stop eating, so don't worry about somebody, you know, buying a restaurant, you know. The guy, you know, been working for 40 years, he's got retired, can't work no more, or she can't work no more, so she sells the business. Then the guy who's 20, 30 years old, he's got to eat, so he's going to take care of that Pat's Grill. You know, he's going to buy that building because he wants to eat. Either wants to be rich or he wants to make a living. And you don't want to be rich. You just want to make a living. You just work. You're rich, and you make a living. You are rich. Got to eat. Yeah, we got to eat tomorrow. There's no freedom on that one. And okay, I don't know how much time I got in that. Chicago. Roosevelt was going to get picked, you know, to be president. So one guy, the sanitation, the superintendent of sanitation and sewer department was in the basement of the convention in Chicago, and he put the speakers on top. He said, Roosevelt, Roosevelt, Roosevelt. Guess what? They picked him, and what he's saying is dangerous to be representing the government. Some of the guys in power don't like people to talk. Okay, here, getting to the boulders now, the important part. There's a street built on Princeton and Northway. The village put a street because they put the street because they need it because, you know, there's too much. I think there was accidents on Northway and Lake Street, so that's why they did that. Or they want to have one access to Salem instead of Northway Drive. Yeah, you know, we didn't like it. We fought it, but we lost. Then I told my dad, hey, Dad, you got to put some rocks out, man. You got to put some rocks. But he don't listen to me. So my mom, there's a car that went on the driveway, not on the driveway, on the grass, and hit the house. Well, I don't know if it's true or not, but I do know there's a railing, guardrail between the bushes and the fence, and there's a guardrail. So I think maybe if the village were to extend it, and my rocks behind that it's an ordinance. It says, you know, it's been an ordinance, it's been in the books forever, and it's an ordinance, so we got to follow the ordinance. Now the village is trying to enforce it because one guy told me he called the guy not a very smart person, and you know what we should do? We should sue the guy that hit the house or hit the rocks, and then pay for the rock that he scratched and get a bigger rock. You know, pay for the bigger rock, you know, and sue the guy, because, you know, the village is getting sued left and right. And if a fireman, you know, if a police officer hits a rock or a fireman hits the rock, you know, 3 days off with pay, you know, make him think about what he's doing. You know, like I said, my time's up, but I'm going to finish here. So it's an ordinance. I already moved 6 rocks. Now I paid a guy $60, and I told him I'd give him another 40 because it's not good, not hard. It's really hard. And now I'm going to pay $200 for one rock that me and him couldn't get it. And the guy is landscaping. I got him off the guy out here, and the machine guy on Lake Evering Park before Rosal on the right-hand side. Landscaping guy, lawnmowers and snow blowers and stuff. And he told me it's going to cost me $500 to get one of those, you know, the Bobcat thing. You got the scoop in the front. To move it, the guy here in the village, code enforcement, told me not to get hurt. I moved 6 rocks now. Tomorrow the guy's coming in and he's going to move it for $200. And I told him I don't want him to get hurt. And he said, no, you can do it. And he showed me a picture. He had, you know, if you got money, you can get miracles done. You know, the slab about 3 feet long or 4 feet long by 2 feet or 3 feet. My time's up. But, you know, he's going to move it. You know, you got to follow the ordinance. You know, the city's now following the ordinance, you know, because people are getting hurt. But I think I put the rocks on the other side because I don't want a car to go through the house. And maybe what they got to do, they got to put the steel barrier on where the rocks were at. But if somebody were to kill somebody or something, by hitting the house and stuff, because out of control. The guy's got to go to work, he's sleepy, or she's sleepy in the morning, and she's driving along, they see those rocks, it wakes them up a little bit. Or they know the rocks are already there,
Thank
so
you,
they
Hank.
slow down.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome, sir.
If we can keep people at the speed limit of 20 miles an hour, we'd be way ahead too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
All right. Thank you all for coming this evening.
Thank you for your.
We will be following up, and we'll hear, since you left your addresses, you'll hear back. I'm not even familiar with the ordinance, but I guess I will be shortly. And we'll see what evolves. So, President's report. Well, here I am. Hope I remember everything. I'd like to acknowledge and recognize Trustee Lisa Gutierrez for your completion 9 months. Your Colibri Fellowship and working to assist the Immigration and Justice Leadership Initiative, which is keenly in the news every night. And you are recognized as quite an accomplished individual serving not only our community, but the POC, Partners in Communities, from Palatine through Hoffman Estates and Hanover Park. It's, I don't know how you found the time for the last 9 months. She wasn't answering my phone, so, but she's been quite exceptional, and you've completed that.
Yes.
And congratulations, I'd like to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
And I know the board is completely respectful of that work, so congratulations. The 29th of this month at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., we have, I'm going to do a Safe Communities, safe meeting, whatever I'm calling it, Safe Crossing Improvement. I've been working on this for 3 years with the state, with IDOT, coordinating our train station, which was not a safe crossing. We had photos and videos of people running up the ramp and across the tracks in front of the train. It was not designed properly, and so I worked diligently to get the support from Michelle Mussman, our state rep. Fred Crespo assisted additionally, and it took quite a while because it had to go through Metra. Now, I'm on the Metra board, so it probably didn't hurt. But to have that work done, it took them over a year putting all the parts together. But we now have a safe crossing at our train station. And you'll see, if you go over there, you'll see the lights flashing when the train's coming at the crossing. You'll see the bell ringing. We didn't have any of those alerts. People will be looking at their iPhone or reading a book and walk across and not paying attention to the railroad. And that's really important today because we're going to have more freights coming through. We're going to have potentially Amtrak flying through, so a lot more traffic. We are challenging that continually. The Surface Transportation Board didn't rule in our favor with the coalition of communities from Bensonville to Elgin. And so we're challenging that bureaucracy in the courts with a judicial review. And we've got to follow through and get some fairness out of this. I think we'll probably come back to the board if additional dollars are needed, if there's another direction, but it was a part of our initiative. So we do have a safe crossing, and we took that on before we started fighting with the Canadian Pacific Railroad. So I feel good about that. I think we're in a good place. Additionally, there's some work going on with the Elgin O'Hare. The LAC is, which I've been the chairman for, I can't believe it's 10 years, but the LAC is the advisory committee, local advisory committee that meets with the toll road and all the communities affected with 390 and 490, which are going around the west side of the airport. So we met last week. It was a good meeting. Access to O'Hare from the west is an important initiative. We're still trying to get, we are working on, with IDOT for our Phase 1 completion to get that road to have a ramp over to County Farm Road. So that's a key component. I want to get that Phase 1 done. It's been a few years, maybe close to 3. It's been with IDOT, and right now the feds are offering some dollars, a lot of transportation dollars. We need to get that done so we can apply. That can't fall on the taxpayers. So moving ahead on that, the ONCC is that's the, what does ONCC stand for? The upper, you remember, John? Owen, help me out.
Noise Compatibility Commission.
Yes, the O'Hare. We've been working with that for quite a while. John has been representing us for years. Yasmin, trustee, has been, Yasmin has been, attended the last meeting. What's called the SOC, the communities on the, that are on the west have sent a letter that I'm endorsing to look at the B and the H components, which are different studies on the departures and approaches rotating around O'Hare. B and H is, we decided to focus after all these years just on the runway rotation. The headings, we can work down the road, but the headings have to be established by the controllers on duty based on weather conditions, whatever's going on. And so we can't dictate the headings, and that's what's been going on across the board to slow the SOC down. But we have a letter, it's gone out. Did I share it with you? Yeah, and I shared it with John. But they're actively involved in that, and not being the summer, I had time to go to the SOC meeting. So we're moving ahead with that. It's important. I've talked to Schomburg about it. They've been kind of neutral either way, but they're going to, I believe, support us also. So we've got to get that moving. I'm moving ahead. I don't know what else I've done. I've been to Columbus with U.S. Conference of Mayors talking about veteran initiatives and with transportation. There is a cliff in 2025, and that cliff is the expenditure from the feds to support transportation, and so that is a key component. So with that, moving on.
Can I address that before you move on? I'll be real brief.
I will not reject Bob Payne from having the word.
Have you done a feasibility study? Oh, I'll speak as loud as I can.
I'll put.
Did you do a
left 3
feasibility?
minutes on the clock. So.
That's all, I don't need one. A feasibility study to know how much traffic that is gonna add to County Farm. Because that is a absolutely residential area where everything north of that is all business.
We've looked at that, Bob, and I will be happy to sit down with you and discuss the differences.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I would like to know eventually,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's,
I know where you live.
we've been afraid of that happening for a long time, because it's going right past our neighborhood. And we already hear all the cars on County Farm Road. So there'll be more, I'm sure. And the speed limit, you gotta keep that down too. Thank you.
Yeah, we're working it. Somebody came in and wanted to abolish the speed, but thank you for your comments. I'll get back with you on that
Thank you.
specifically. There's been a lot of work on that. So with that, I'll move to, I'm going to vote items on the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none.
So those are items 7A1 and 7A2? Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, I'll ask Christie to read those on consent.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, 7A1, motion to award the contract to National Power Roading for the 2023 sanitation and sewer relining project in the amount of $105,000 and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents, further authorizing the village manager to expend any amount not to exceed $17,310 for possible change orders for additional work. 7A2, motion to pass the resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Schaumburg and the Village of Hanover Park considering the administration and division of the construction costs during the construction phase for the implementation of multiple best management practices intended to reduce flooding and restore functions to a 1-mile stretch of the west branch of the DuPage River in Hanover Park and Schaumburg between Springensguth Road and Old Salem Park.
Thank you. Okay, 7A3, motion to pass and,
Take roll.
pardon me,
I need to take a roll.
take a roll.
Trustee Gutierrez.
Yes.
Trustee Porter.
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel.
Yes.
Trustee Hustani.
Yes.
Trustee Bancole.
Yes.
And Trustee Prigi.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I seem to be ignoring the roll call. You know,
Got it. Don't worry.
7A3, motion to pass an ordinance authorizing the third amendment to the FY 2023 budget of the Village of Hanover Park. 2/3 vote of the corporate authorities is needed.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Thank you. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Porter.
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel.
Yes.
Trustee Hustani.
Yes.
Trustee Bancole.
Yes.
Trustee Prigi.
Yes.
And Trustee Gutierrez.
Yes.
Thank you. 7A4, motion to approve the contract with Earthworks for the construction of Spring Scoot West Branch DuPage River Stream Corridor improvements in the amount of $5,978,066.80 and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. Further, authorize the village manager to expend a contingency amount not to exceed $521,933.20 for a total project cost of $6,500,000 for possible change orders. Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Is this, related,
Discussion. Trustee Porter?
yes, is this related to 7A2 in the consent agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
So that was the resolution and this is the ordinance?
7A2 was the intergovernmental agreement
Right.
with Schaumburg. Then there was a budget amendment as part of 7A3, and then 7A4 is actually awarding the contract for the work to Earthworks.
And what is the financial responsibility of Schaumburg if it's an intergovernmental agreement? What is Schaumburg, what is their portion of this project?
It's outlined
It's
in
more.
7A4 on page 29 of your packet.
I don't have my computer.
So it shows that the total cost for Schaumburg will be $4,129,425.80. The IEPA grant will be applied, a portion to each. So after their portion of the IEPA grant and the MWRD grant, the remaining construction cost for Schaumburg will be $2,393,015.59, and ours will be $672,411.17.
Okay, yeah, I didn't have my, I apologize, I didn't have my computer, so I couldn't see those numbers. All right.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Good deal, right? Nice
It's a
support.
good intergovernmental.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other, anyone else?
I'm good.
Hearing nothing. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Hustani.
Yes.
Trustee Bancole.
Yes.
Trustee Prigi.
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez.
Yes.
Trustee Porter.
Yes.
And Trustee Kunkel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. 7A5, move to pass an ordinance establishing a new Class L liquor license for tobacco dealers that may lawfully permit smoking within their presence. So I would ask Bandish to come questions from the board, and maybe Bandish can articulate some answers or understanding.
Good evening, Mayor and trustee. Sorry, first thing, I apologize for last meeting. I cannot make it because of my son's graduation, so I apologize.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Questions of the board? So we have an ordinance. And it doesn't call for a 24-hour operation.
Okay.
It requires hours from, let me see here. Pardon me? Keep going. Okay, here's the hours. We're talking about, let me just read this, okay? No person holding a Class L license issued pursuant to this chapter shall have any alcohol liquor upon or within its premise other than the customer's alcohol liquor stored and located in the customer's locked storage locker between the hours of 12 midnight to 8 a.m. Sunday through Saturday, and 12 midnight to 9 a.m. Sunday, except the day on which January 1st occurs, in which case the time limits shall be extended until 1 p.m.
AM.
So, pardon me?
1 a.m.
Oh, 1 a.m. So essentially, we're saying that your hours would be from 8 a.m. to midnight. I know we do allow liquor till 2 a.m. And there was some discussion at the last meeting concerning that. But what we're saying that you've got to have the person there that is certified with the, what do you call it? Bassett training.
Bassett training.
You know, all
Yes.
that. So we can't just keep the place open 24/7. I know you were asking for that, but there is going to be a shutdown period of time.
Okay.
Okay.
So my question, I listened last conversation, whole meeting in a village board, and I think Lisa asked for any other liquor store or the bars open until 2 o'clock, 2 p.m., 2 a.m. in the morning. So if I have to follow the village rules and regulation, so I request to the village if they give me permission until 2 o'clock.
You would prefer to 2 a.m.?
Yes,
Okay.
And there'll be a Bassett trained person?
yes,
So can I ask, like, 'cause so I don't smoke, right, but,
too bad.
so, no, I don't want to smoke. It's not good for me. So, let's say that if I'm a member of this
Okay.
special club, can I get in there at 4 in the morning?
If his ordinance passed 2 o'clock, so I have a system, is a biometric system I have. So
Okay.
face reading, and also I have key cards. So we have a system, so we can block up to 2 o'clock, no one can enter in the lounge, private lounge.
And in the private lounges where the lockers are for the,
Yes,
okay.
I'm sorry, I
Sure.
didn't catch your,
Bandish.
Mr. Bandish. Could you clarify why you're seeking this new type of liquor license versus the one that we provide businesses that,
Bring your own booze.
oh, never mind. I think my question was just answered.
Yes.
Oh,
I was trying to figure out why you were seeking a different classification of liquor license versus the one that we typically give out. And I was just told by our village clerk that you don't provide food, and so it's a different type of.
Right, and we're not serving. The people who member, they bring your own.
Food?
No.
Liquor.
Liquor,
Oh.
alcohol.
Okay.
So they bring the beer or they bring the wine or liquor, hard liquor.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
we not provide anything, we just provide the cups and ice, that's it.
Okay,
So whatever my members, they bring it and they keep it in his locker.
okay. Thank you.
No problem.
So we can do a pen and ink on till 2 AM.
Okay.
Okay. But I know we've got to have, when people come and go, we've got to have
Yes.
somebody there.
Yes.
You know, it's Bassett trained.
Right.
And so that basically says you're closed from 2 AM till whatever time we said you can open, 8 AM or 9 AM. And I don't think that'll,
I have one question.
Yeah,
I have two girls. They both work from work from home. So they they live in New York, but they move in Chicago. They live get together, but they start work 6 o'clock because they work based on New York. So they sometimes like twice a week, they come 6 in the morning, and both not drinking person. So I don't know, I'm gonna talk to her, how she's reacted to me, because 6 in the morning, I don't think so anybody drinking.
Are they gonna open a business, or they just
No,
gonna be in the place?
just only
Just
go
in there?
and
Yeah.
they do the computer work and smoke
Right.
cigars. They both smoke cigars.
Okay, but as long as it's not open to the public.
No,
Then,
public is not open until 9
yeah,
every day.
then I think we're good.
Okay.
I think we're good, you know, if you're okay with all that. Those were the big concerns. you
No
know.
problem.
I couldn't keep that with nobody there and have the oversight. Was there any other concerns with this ordinance? You've seen this ordinance, I believe.
Yes.
We had a meeting last week. This is the second meeting on this ordinance. I'd like to make this, I'd like to do this in one fell swoop here tonight. I'll make it for one, and then we can pass this with the change
At 2 o'clock,
to 2 AM.
Till 2 a.m.
and the Bassett training provision is in there.
Yeah, the Bassett training's all in there.
Okay.
You gotta have somebody on duty when,
So only the on-duty people, not the owner or the building, like you guys did it like whenever we did the biometric fingerprint. So I have to come, my wife have to come, all the employee has to come. So I want to just make sure it's only who working, they have to go for the training, right?
whoever's there
Okay.
has to at least
Sounds
be a
good.
manager.
I want to just make sure that's
Yeah,
right.
so who's ever there, at
Yes.
least the manager.
Yes.
The second person can be, but you always have to have a manager, you gotta delegate that.
No problem.
Designate that. So that's a key component, and then always have a anybody's in there, you gotta have a you know,
Sure.
with the liquor. So, we've been kicking this down the street for a long time. I'd like to make these, a change. Where's the one, does that go in this ordinance somewhere?
Right, so someone needs, if you're gonna do that, if that's the intent, if you're gonna do that, if that's the intention of the board, someone needs to make a motion to pass the ordinance.
Amend.
Someone needs to make a motion to pass the ordinance.
As amended?
Someone needs to make a motion to pass the ordinance.
I move that we pass the ordinance.
Thank you,
And then
Second.
someone- Right.
thank you.
All right, so now that you have a motion and a second, if you want to amend it, someone needs to make a motion to amend F found in section 5 by substituting 2 AM for 12 midnight in both 1 and 2.
So 12 midnight becomes 2 AM.
Okay,
Thank you.
I make a motion to amend section F, is that right? Found
Yep.
in section 5 by substituting 2 a.m. for 12 midnight in both sections 1 and 2.
Great.
Correct.
The second.
We have a motion and a second.
So now you would take a vote on the amendment.
All right.
Yes.
Christie?
Okay, great. Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
And Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bandish.
Okay, so I'd like to take, on the main motion to pass, now where does the one license, you know, do one?
Section 3.
We have, don't we have a number that goes in there?
It's all.
It's
Oh.
Section 3.
Section 3, let me find section 3. Okay, so then someone else would have to make a motion. So the issue that the mayor is talking about is found in section 3 of the ordinance. And he's talking about changing the 0 for the number of Class L licenses to 1. So someone would have to make that motion.
Class L licenses?
Right, in section 3
I
Okay.
can't
of
do
the
anything.
ordinance,
So,
there's a section that's being amended, which is 10-8. And the motion then would be to change the number of Class L licenses from 0 to the number 1.
okay. So I make a motion to amend section 3 of the ordinance, section 10-8, change that 0 to a 1 for the number of Class L licenses.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second to amend. Any discussion? Roll call, Christie?
Sorry, I'll move my plate. Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Frigie?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
And Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, a motion on the main ordinance as
vote.
amended.
A vote.
Oh, we need a vote.
So moved.
Christie, call the roll on the main
Oh, we don't
motion
have
as
that.
amended.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm
Okay.
pushing it down. Okay, Trustee Frigie?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
And Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. That was
786.
behind us, thank goodness. Where am I? 786? Move to approve warrant 6/15/2023 in the amount of $432,196.81.
So moved.
Do a motion? Second? Discussion? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
And Trustee Frigie?
Yes.
Thank you. 77, move to approve warrant paid in advance 5 through 5/26/2023 through 6/9/2023 in the amount of $393,154.97.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Frigie?
Yes.
And Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Okay. Village Manager's Report on Strategic Plan Update. Okay. I've got my,
If I could direct, ask everyone to go to page 75 of their packet, strategic plan. So the village board adopted a 3-year strategic plan with a series of goals and objectives. This is the first official update of that strategic plan. It's a 3-year work plan for the village, and the board and staff work together with a consultant to develop the plan and come up with these goals and action steps to accomplish those. So this evening, if you look at your document, the last column that says status is the column that we'll be focused on. As we go through the 3 years of the strategic plan, you'll see, we'll add another column at the end for each so that you can see the progress that's made towards those goals. So in the status column, you will see either ongoing, so it's been started, but it has not been completed yet, or it may say completed, which we believe that the goal as outlined has been completed, or it's, it'll say not started. And again, this is a 3-year plan, so there are some things that have been started, but there's 2 years left of this plan, so some of those have not yet been started. There is a target completion date as part of the plan. In most cases, we've met the target completion date, but for some, there will be times where that date is pushed to the next year based on budget or workload or things that have come up. So my suggestion is to take these each by objective or by goal and ask any questions and have you we'll answer any questions you may have, but we can approach it in another format if you prefer. So the first section would be the financial health of the financial health goal. Mayor, are you okay with proceeding in that?
Yeah.
Wait. So would you like us to walk through that last column, or would you like us to answer questions?
Well, I think, let's identify, the last column has successes, right? And
Yes.
where, where it's short, and if we have comments, we can.
So the first objective was regarding public safety pensions and supporting those.
Sorry, Juliana, so just to clarify, we're going to go through each one. Can we maybe just
Would you prefer to
pivot?
do it a different way?
Can we pivot to just questions if we have questions?
Oh, absolutely. I wasn't sure what the interest of the board was. I know there was some interest. So if you have, maybe go by page. Any questions on page 75?
Or maybe grouping?
Hmm?
Like each section has like a title.
Like
so
financial.
Each title, could we just?
So the first section's goal is financial health. Are there any questions regarding any of the status updates on the objectives and action plans that fall within financial health, which is blue?
One question, just on page 76,
Okay.
review financing and possible bond issue for water and sewer improvements. What is the issue with that?
Where are you?
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
Page-
so
page
at the
76.
bottom. So Remy, do you want to respond to that? That's our bond issue for the IEPA loan, or TJ? Sure.
Oh, is that the last one?
Yeah.
The last one on page,
Yeah.
I'm with you. Okay, thanks.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
If you recall, last year, we worked and spent a very long time, it might have even been in budget season, working on a plan to develop a 5-year, $5 million per year, so ultimately $25 million plan for the rebuilding of water mains in the village. And that plan is ongoing right now. That's what this is referring to. And that plan is underway right now, but it's ongoing. We haven't even finished, or we haven't even started year 1 of construction yet, and ultimately this will be, we're in design right now, and then 5 years of continuing construction, and then ultimately, long-term, there will be the pay down of the debt. And we get, in this case, it's an EPA loan, not a bond, and so we get basically half market rate.
So is that referring to whether or not we want to do a bond or not?
So-
Sorry.
Well, so the board approved going out for IEPA loan. So we're in the process of doing that right now. So,
Maybe I'll just start off by the term issue. What's the issue?
where's she saying?
So page 76, the last objective. Oh, I'm sorry, this isn't on. Page 76, the last objective. So it says review financing and possible bond issue.
So if you go out for bonds, they refer to that as a bond
Oh,
issue.
Okay. So it's not our issue.
No, it's an
Okay.
issue of
It's an
debt.
issuance.
Okay, thank
An
you,
issue.
thank you, appreciate it. That's
So
all.
any other questions regarding that? This is how we are going to pay for the water main infrastructure improvements.
Thank you.
I have a question on the workforce market competitiveness. The third item in the action says perform compensation analysis of comparable communities to support all union negotiations. And then above that, it's to support non-union merit pay recommendations. I guess that's where I want to focus. I've been questioning our strategy of how we put together our comparable analysis and the communities that we use to form that analysis and come up with a comp. I know that there are some communities that we're that there is a very apples and apples type comparison when we look at it. Then I think there are others that would kind of skew what we're looking at, either high or low. And then I'm wondering if there's a broad enough range of communities that we're comparing to give us a concise or a comprehensive view of what the comparables may be. I'm just wondering about a whole strategy in terms of how we look at developing comparables.
So the village did
What page are you on, Herb?
76 at the
Yeah.
top of the page.
Oh, 76.
So the village conducted a study by an outside consultant, GovHR. They hired GovHR. They did a full study on who our comparables should be, and we'd be happy to share that with you.
Okay.
That study, did it go to the board? I think it did last year, but we can share that again with you to make sure that you're up to date. And it includes their rationale on how they got to those recommendations, and then we can have some maybe further conversation.
Because that leads to my second concern, is that it seems that our strategy is always to try to be within the 50th percentile in terms of where we are with salaries.
So this last year, we made a recommendation to the board to be at the 60th percentile. So that's what those salary ranges were based on this last
To be
year.
in the 60th percentile.
Correct, of
And
our comparable communities.
So have we had any of those that have been implemented, those 60th percentile, or raises or compensation adjustments based on that goal of being in the 60th percentile? Has that actually gone into effect yet?
So the 60th percentile applies to the range for each position. So those are in place. So when we hire based on that new range, which is at that level, as well as the maximum of that range is for non-union is at that level too. So those are in place to guide our hiring decisions, as well as if someone were promoted into a position, those are our guidelines. We did not take every position and adjust everyone's salary.
Yeah.
That adjustments within the range and two salaries are based on a different program.
So is it too early to judge the effectiveness of that new range in terms of either sustaining our employee base or attracting a different level or different quality of candidate to apply for our positions?
I think it is a little too early to tell, since we just implemented this January 1st. That has it helped retention? I think it's still too early to tell. I don't think we've had, I think we're losing people to retirement. I think that's our main issue, versus we're losing employees to other municipalities or organizations, and we're hearing that the reason is money. Typically the reason is they're moving to California, they're moving somewhere else, they're changing fields, their spouse took a job and they're just going with,
So we're not losing them to poach other communities, maybe just poaching our employees in the area?
No,
are
what
we?
he's saying is they're not leaving, or we're not specifically seeing that employees are leaving employment here to go get another job because of salary. They're leaving because of other
Well, he said they're
reasons.
not leaving because of money.
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I
Correct.
misheard.
But
So-
we have had a significant number, and just like every other organization, loss of employees and turnover because of retirements. And so, when we go then to fill those positions, it depends on the position as to how many candidates we are attracting to those. Now, that's non-union. I think that with union, we have union contracts, and we work within those contracts and negotiate those contracts when they come up, and we have those discussions on an individual basis with the board.
And our current staffing across the enterprise, are we at staffing levels? Are we below where we currently?
No, we're filling the positions.
Yeah.
We always have some vacancies, but we are, again, some positions, we're getting a lot of candidates. Other positions, we have to work harder to find them. We did just fill, and as you met Nalini earlier, we have a new economic development coordinator. That took a while to fill. We have a new assistant engineer. Finally, we filled that position, and she started. So some of those positions been working on for a while we've been able to fill, but I don't know, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think I would be willing to bet that our recruitment activities are the envy of our neighbors. So I think what's really helped us tremendously is the addition of a second HR generalist, because we've been able to attack recruitment head-on.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Good. Thank you, Herb.
So any other questions in the goal of financial health? So the next category is focused economic development and redevelopment. I know that there were some questions earlier at the workshop. We can continue to have that conversation here, or if you have any other questions.
Yeah, before we jump to that, if we could just look at page 77. So consider the reduction of the property tax rate to 1.5. So will that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but will that solely depend on the developments that are listed in the ongoing status? Whether or not that reduction is possible? And also, is that reduction only for businesses, or is it for all?
Well, the property tax rate applies to all. but-
All entities?
All entities.
Okay.
But that rate is dependent upon our EAV, the current EAV, as well as what our property tax, what we want, what we ask for in terms of dollars, correct? And so, unfortunately, we saw our EAV go down in the wrong direction this last year, correct?
Cook County.
On the Cook County side. So, we are moving in that direction. It's in your budget document. You see each of the years, and it shows in each of the counties the progress we're making. And we are making progress. It's just some years it's slower, and in this last year, it went the other direction.
So are we still on track for some?
Remy says yes.
The 2024, yeah?
It says review way to lower it and says review completed. So what did we come up with?
No, it says on. Oh, review completed, yes, you're correct, you're correct.
Which one is she?
So in the first category.
So our measure of success is that we've reviewed ways to lower it. And so I think we're saying it hasn't been completed yet. We're still looking at ways to lower the village's property tax rate. It's ongoing, but I think one step that the board's been able to do is to have no property tax increase for the last 7 years, we've always said we're not sure how long we can continue to do that, but we have been able to maintain that. We are continuing to work with to try to attract developers and businesses to properties so that our EAV does actually increases. And so some of the examples are included here for Church and Lake, South Commuter Lot, Lake and Barrington Village Center, and the southwest corner of Lake and Gary. So those are the ones we're working on now. And we feel like if we get development on those will affect the EAV in the community and will affect the tax rate.
Thank you.
And you're still confident in the target completion date, or does that need to be adjusted?
It's 2024.
I think it's probably going to be 2025 versus the 2024, but.
Thank you.
We have some significant developments on the cusp, so we'll see. It just takes a while to get them assessed by the county and get through the systems to see that effect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions
Good questions.
in the green section? Several pages long. So I would say, building on the discussion we had in the workshop, in this plan, we specifically have outlined on page 77, we start outlining some of the large developments we want to make sure that we keep track of and we are working on and we're providing the progress for. What I heard at the workshop was the desire to also have a focus on smaller businesses and certain types of businesses that we think we might have a gap here in the community in either a service provider or a type of business. So I think it would be worthwhile for the board to share what those, we can look and we can review, and I think we probably have that info to go back to see where the gaps are in our survey data on the types of businesses. But if you could share the types of businesses that you would like to focus on trying to attract to the community, maybe we could pick 4 types of businesses to start out with over the remainder of the strategic plan and we can report out on our efforts and our progress in trying to attract those types of businesses.
I have to think about what Trustee Bancole was saying. It'd be nice to have a coffee shop that's not part of the bigger, chains. So that's one. The second one is, how many restaurants do we have in town?
We have about 50 dining establishments. Now, those also include some of the smaller ones that may be located within another business, but more than 50.
More than 50.
And is there a type of restaurant?
yeah, 'cause I was
I
gonna
seem to
say-
hear restaurants, but I get the sense that it's
We
not as
keep
much of
getting
what
the
we
same
have,
ones.
but.
Yeah, we have a duplication of restaurants in town, the same type of food. And I know that has caused a problem because it's, not that we don't love a certain type of food, but it's the same type.
So is it a different type so there's two ways to approach this. One is we want we want a Chinese restaurant or whatever that kind of restaurant. Or you could say we don't necessarily want any more drive-through restaurants, we want a sit-down restaurant, or we want more fast casual, whatever that type is, I guess. It would help us to understand what you would like to see in the community.
I was disappointed to hear that in Caputo's that the owner's going to put in another taco restaurant.
Yeah.
That didn't thrill me. I mean, we've got a ton of those, and we've got some really good ones in town, some really great taco restaurants that I think we.
So what do you think?
In my humble opinion.
What do you think we're missing? What would you like to see that you don't have nearby?
So we would like to explore different cuisines.
Italian? Is there a specific one, or do you want something that's more American?
Like a barbecue place, anything else but, anything
So-
else but. And for me, I just mentioned the restaurants because I know that's something that you guys brought up. For me, it's more, I'm thinking about our families. We say we're a family-friendly town. How are we serving these families?
You know, there's a restaurant, and I don't know if they exist anymore, but I'm sure you all remember Colonial, you know, the restaurants that were out, and they might be outgone, but of that type, in that genre, is something that I think would be welcome in our community. A place where you could go and get a very diverse menu, you know, and, you know, grab an ice cream or sundae or a shake or do something, you know, or just go in and have a coffee, you know, that kind of restaurant, you know. I know Colonial was one of my favorites, and I think they're gone, but, because I haven't seen them around.
But would you say Brianna's is that kind of restaurant?
Brianna's is very close, but they have limited hours.
Yeah.
You know, they're not open in the evenings, when you could go for dinner, and do that. But I love Brianna's. They know my name when I go in.
Or like
Shubra,
an
thank
ice
you
cream
for-
shop that is not selling shakes that are $20 a pop, just like an ice cream shop, it's something that caters to these kids.
We've been waiting how long on Arby's to come, you know? The Arby's thing is like, keep
So,
kicking the can
again,
down the
so
road.
because this is something that I want to be able to report back to you at our intervals, and because we, at the last meeting, said we wanted, it was too broad and we wanted to focus, can I have 4 types of food establishments or coffee? Is that what I'm hearing, that you would like us to
Yeah,
focus
on
on?
the south end of town, you need a general restaurant that, from breakfast to dinner, on the south end of town, down on the Arlington Heights, down on that side of town. There's no place to eat down on Arlington Drive.
We've also said, so I guess coffee could be another one that you could write down, just to,
So I have coffee
clarify.
shop, I have an American cuisine, like broad menu,
so different cuisine.
restaurant, different.
It doesn't necessarily need to be American, but
Okay.
just different than
Different,
what we.
already
than-
have.
Correct.
Yeah, someone
Thank
can
you.
go get a steak and some potatoes, you know.
Ruby Tuesdays, Blackwood Barbecue.
Yeah, like the Omega.
And Shubra, thank you for bringing up Brianna's. I believe Brianna's is the only place in town where we can get breakfast or a sit-down breakfast.
In our
So maybe
town.
more breakfast /
Well, there's
brunch.
Denny's, there's Denny's.
Okay. So, okay, maybe another one, if that.
I also heard at and this has been our goal too, at the workshop, restaurants that have a designated outdoor seating area and, versus trying to have it on the sidewalk or something
That
like
would be great. That would be another, that's actually what I was trying to refer to in the workshop. One more thing, I don't want to forget the brewery. Very important. It does not have to be a full-size brewery, it can be a microbrewery. You know, I can compromise, but so, I believe that is of the utmost importance, so thank you.
Okay. Anything else in the green section?
Yes. Facade improvement, we have dollars kept aside and 25,000 that we contribute towards that, matching the 25% to what they're putting in. Within that concept, there was a conversation in economic development that should we limit it to facade improvement or should we extend it to landscaping? Should we extend it to the strip mall owner who wants just not one business? Maybe a whole strip mall needs to be improved. So there was a discussion that happened. There was no outcome, but It's just limiting it to one business, maybe the strip mall gets a little bit more because they have multiple businesses in there.
Yes, so
Yeah, the plaza.
we've put those together, those guidelines, they
Okay.
just still need to come to the board.
Excellent, okay.
So we,
That's
you
what I
know,
was
the board
wondering.
had indicated, so for example, like Old Salem, where they might
Yes,
have
yeah.
a lot more work than
Yes.
one. So those guidelines have been discussed at the staff level, those will be
Okay.
coming to the board. We do not, I continue to recommend that landscaping be part of a bigger project. That it's not, that a facade program isn't just a landscape. It's got to have something more ongoing, substantial, and concrete at this stage.
But it could be part of it, a
It could be
portion
part of it, and it is part of it, but it's not only,
Okay,
like, come in for only a facade grant that's just landscaping.
Yeah.
I think that our recommendation is to see how this plays out over the course of this strategic plan over the 3 years with the expansion of this, the business and the strip, you know, the strip center, multi-business centers. And that at the end, we do an evaluation of how we're doing and then move on to something different maybe.
What I'm hoping is that with this new development, if it gets off the ground, these townhomes that we just discussed today, that will become a viable option for a place like Pinstripes or something like that to take over another one of those vacant properties on Lake Street and kind of build that up. So maybe we can parlay off of, you know, that type of business to bring in other, because we'll be bringing in a higher income individual, you know, that can afford those properties. And they'll be looking for entertainment options without having to travel to Schaumburg or Elgin or, you know, Wheaton or some other community to do that. So I think it's going to be incumbent upon us to try and have those entertainment options, the brewery, a Pinstripes type of business, you know, those type of things will add to the success of that development when people see that there are entertainment options that they don't have to get in their car and drive miles, you know, to get to.
And especially as we discussed, there is another site by Starbucks and those, that is not been developed yet. So
Right.
I think that if you have the demand for something that's walkable or nearby, it'll be more, it'll be easier for that property owner to, you know, seek a developer for that site. Okay, moving on to.
Sorry, two more things.
Okay.
Just to clarify, so in the workshop, we talked about the possibility of, I'm sorry, something more specific. So we talked about the targeted list that we would try to create so that you had more direction as to what we believe is missing in the village. The other piece of that was looking at potentially talking about what a incentivized business grant might look like. Because we talked about how the other grants might be too broad, and if we want to narrow it down, that might be another tool that we could use to attract and just attract new businesses. So is that another thing that we can look at?
I tend to look at the revenue side. You know, so we don't have a Woodfield kind of a scenario. And so that gets limited. And I think with some of these new developments coming in, you know, like.
Oh, no,
Harvey,
sorry. Was it not clear?
you're not what?
My question? Sorry, I'm going to repeat my question because I think it's not clear. So apologies. So previously, we discussed the different ways in which we could invest, attract, support businesses. And Trustee Porter brought up that we have a wide array of things, and maybe we need to narrow down our scope so that we can support a specific type of business.
Okay.
And so he mentioned the possibility of exploring a grant program that's very specific. And then he used restaurants as an example. That's an idea I would like to explore. I don't know if any others would also like to explore what that would look like. I think it would be helpful. I think there's a need, and I'd like to hear from my fellow board members.
I think in terms of including it in the strategic plan, I think that we certainly can do that. The mayor and I have been working very diligently on securing a cannabis business for the two locations, or the two that are provided for in the ordinance that we approved last year. And I would like to suggest that upon securing those businesses, that we can take the revenue from those businesses and then use it to develop that grant that we're talking, to fund the grant, because to do the grant, you gotta have a revenue source to fund the grant. So I'm wondering if.
Yeah, we're talking the right language here.
If we can use that revenue from those, and I think we're pretty close to getting something, and upon securing that type of business, we can take that revenue, the tax revenue from that, which should be pretty lucrative, and then think about how do we fund a grant, a targeted grant program for not just that, but for our business grant
Yeah,
program.
that's reinvesting in our community, I agree.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I would also like to look at what happens when we've improved all our facades. What happens there? Is that also another thing that we can explore?
We
I think
can't,
we
I
already
just,
are.
I don't see that happening within this 3-year period. I think that would be something that would,
It's ongoing, because facades,
yeah, I think it's ongoing, but I think that we need this 3 years just to spend, it's taking a lot of hand-holding and work with these businesses to have them accept a grant and get through the process. So at the end of the 3 years, we could reallocate funds if the funds are there, they're no longer needed for facades. I don't know whether we'll be there or not. It might be ongoing. We have a lot of buildings in town. The other thing I've seen is once you have a funding source, you can fund a fund that can be used as funds to help, but it's not necessarily you get X amount of money for this frontage. It's a pool of money that you can allocate if you want the brewery, who might need a little bit more funds to come to
Right.
town, versus maybe a coffee shop or an ice cream shop or something like that. So not as specific for treat everybody the same way, but a fund that can be used, especially for businesses that might not be in a TIF district.
So we have some discretion over how we would use it, but
Right.
we create a pot of money for
Right.
business attraction.
Especially outside of the TIF districts, because we don't have a source outside.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. Is there a way we could, and forgive me if this was in the 2-week update that we get from department heads, but is there a way we could just have an update on the facades, those that have utilized the facade grant, and areas that we've identified
Sure.
where,
Yeah,
How
we can,
productive are we?
thank you.
yeah, I mean, we can
with
tell
you.
you who we've been having conversations with, as well as those that have actually moved forward to receiving a grant.
Yeah, that update would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay?
And then, one more thing, the other part of this is recovery. So supporting the businesses that we currently have, making sure that they don't close, doing some hand-holding if they're newer businesses, recovery.
What do you see in
There,
recovery? How are you defining recovery?
I mean, I am defining financial recovery.
So, if somebody's failing,
I think
I'm
that,
trying to get the whole
I would
thing.
like to at least maybe have well, we're having a conversation, but, but maybe something more in-depth as to what that looks like. You know, we mentioned Caracas, and we keep going back to it, but it was such a disappointment to see them close. And if we maybe had a mechanism that allowed us to either assist them or some sort of,
you know, I
mean,
was
it's-
going there almost on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
And they'd give us no clue that they were gonna close.
yeah.
So-
I just am trying to think about the different preventative measures that we can put in so that that situation doesn't happen again.
I
And
see it
guess
as,
that's what I mean by recovery.
Yeah.
okay,
that
I
was
see it
the
as
mis-
retaining, as keeping them, you know, as retaining, retention. I
Sometimes
see it
there's
as
things that
retention.
go on that are beyond anybody's control. Economic conditions, poor marketing, you know, prices that aren't suitable for the
Right.
community that you're in. You know, they had a host of problems, and I don't know that we could have done anything to salvage that business. Bad location, you know.
Yes.
When we could have given them some other options, but I guess they own that strip.
That's why they were there.
That strip there, so that's why they put the business there. Whereas if they had come and asked, I'm sure we could have given them much better options in terms of location, which would have helped them out, yeah.
The other thing is as mentioned during the workshop, we do have now, I don't want to put all this on her shoulders, an economic development coordinator, but it will allow us with that additional staff person to be more regular in our business retention surveys and visits. So I think when you're out there and you're going and talking to a business one-on-one in person, you're going to learn from that and be able to ask questions of those businesses that maybe we'll learn more than we did before, and maybe head off some issue or problem.
And-
I don't know if we're going to be able to, but I think that it might help.
And in the history of Hanover Park, because I've been here so long, you know, we've had a number of businesses and restaurants. We had a Famous Dave's in Hanover Park at one time, you know. So we've had all type of restaurants and businesses that have been in town that have come and gone. So you got to find the right business, you got to find the right mix, you got to find the right location. It's not easy. And I used to go to ICSC as well and talk with the businesses, and I remember the discussions that we would have with them in terms of how they look and choose locations. And they're in this to make money. You know, they don't care about what you want and what you'd like. If they don't see a profit, a way to make profit on it, they're not coming. And you know, so there's a lot of things to deal with. But I think we're taking the right approach to look at what we can do and sift through the needle and find the needle in the haystack and find those companies that would be comfortable seeing themselves being profitable in Hanover Park. So I think what we're doing now in the strategic plan review should help us out significantly toward achieving that goal. But I know how hard they're working. When you go out to ICSC and economic development, you know, you talk to a ton of businesses, and I wish there was a button you could push, but there is no magic button. It's a lot of hard work.
Yep. They want to know, do you have a franchisee that's willing to buy it? You know, so we're talking like 200,000, there were a couple, and then, what was the one, ice cream?
Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen, they wanted 2 million. You got a franchisee that's got 2 million to invest, you know, and I almost fell off my chair. So, you know, so the franchisee, but Herb, you know, and I know, we've been in this town a long time. We used to have family restaurants all over.
Right across the street, there was a family restaurant.
Right across the street.
Yeah, that was there
you know,
for years.
These mom and pop restaurants, and unfortunately, they had them for so long, when they passed away, the kids didn't want
All the Greek restaurants disappeared.
Yeah, they just, you know.
Omega
wanted to be
closed. I have
You
a
know?
question. So, yeah, with that idea that Omega closed, we need another
Well,
restaurant.
there was Corfu, and then there was one right across from Village Hall. I mean,
Yeah.
basically on Lake Street.
So do our businesses have to pay like yearly permits or anything like that?
Yes.
Is there any way then, when you're looking at retention or attraction, we can waive some of those permits for some of the ones that we feel like need the extra help? I know it's something Palatine does. I know there's another town out there that does that. Some of the fees get waived.
It is difficult to treat make that evaluation.
But that's why we were talking about how we would have someone be in contact, having that liaison between the village and the business owner to see how they're doing and
Yeah,
nobody knows.
I think that when the feedback comes back, whether it's through on the business license, they have to do the survey as part of it, or through the clerk's office, if they come through there, whether they have a liquor license or a food and beverage, or if we do a survey, we have an ongoing list of who's struggling to pay their food and beverage tax.
Right.
As we see that, we can assess what the situation is and then make a recommendation. But at this point, I don't know that there's an across-the-board what we can do for people.
So what I'm
Like, it's just really hard to measure what is, as trustee Porter said, what's causing them to not
But if we know
be
that they're
successful.
struggling to pay certain fees, or they fail to pay, then that's one way. Hmm?
It's a red flag, you're saying?
Yeah.
It raises red flag.
It sort of is.
One of the things we find though is especially for food and beverage, it's not one time. It's not like 1 month they can't pay and they're struggling. If they had help, then they're fine. It's just that their business just isn't doing well across the board. And so every month, they're struggling to pay.
So again, to support those kind of businesses, we teach them how to do better financial management or connect them to resources that can do the handholding, that have the expertise to help them grow. And we will be bringing to you the business retention survey results pretty soon.
Sounds good. Thank you. No
Okay,
fur-
can
no
we
further questions.
move on to the next?
So the next section is maintain and enhance infrastructure. So these are all of
I
our,
gotta get to that
basically capital, that's on page 81.
Thank you. Do we need a 5-minute break?
No, it's
No, let's go.
Okay, I need a 5-minute break, so
Oh, okay.
continue with the conversation, I'll be right back. Birds are in charge.
Any questions?
Any questions on maintain infrastructure?
No.
No.
Herb?
Oh, does he? I don't know, Bernie told me to come. Why?
Any questions on maintaining and enhancing infrastructure? No?
Oh, great. So the next section,
87,
87.
community image and identity.
This is where all of our special events are outlined. How many
This is
do we
page
have now?
87?
Page 87. Dave, how many special events do we have now?
I think I counted, it was 30,
30. And how many when you started?
less.
But our residents are very thankful. They love them, so you guys are doing a great job.
But just keep in mind, when you're meeting with your committees and everything, as we go into this next budget, we already have 30 events that we're supporting, either through the committees or through staff.
more
That's a
coming.
lot.
Barry will tell you there's more coming.
Big events?
Are there any questions?
Any questions on this one?
No.
No questions on the red section. Moving on to whatever, baby blue, effective governance.
I have a question on the regular meeting schedule with the Park District to discuss issues of mutual interest. I know we had one meeting, and we were supposed to meet in January, and we never met again.
So we had, both boards met here. We had another one scheduled, and then, I believe it was during the election period and they lost a member, so they had asked
Right.
to wait till they had a full board again to meet, and we have not heard back from the Park District. I don't know that they have a full board yet.
Because we do share the board, is there a board we
Foundation.
share? The foundation board?
Not
Yeah, I mean, we have we have joint projects and stuff that we're meeting on, like for the Park District is part of the Special Events Committee, so they come and do that. We're working with them on some impact fee, land cash projects. So, I believe all of the departments have a component where they're working with the park districts and other districts, school
Right.
districts and stuff. But as far as a full board meeting, with their full board, they had wanted to wait until they had all of their positions filled and for our board to go through the election and have. So now that, I mean, we may want to go back to them if that's the direction of the board and say that you'd like to meet even absent their vacant.
I think we should do that. I'm also concerned about the board we're supposed to share, the foundation board. I don't think that we're keeping our end of the bargain here.
They don't know they don't have the actual foundation guidelines when I've tried to get it from them. So we'll have to put that on the docket too.
I guess I'm unclear as to that component.
We'll pull it all together, yeah.
I think we should.
It was a joint foundation that the president of the park board 1 year would take the lead, and then the mayor of the village would take the lead. That's in the document someplace.
This one.
But it hasn't been happening, right? And they're not aware of that.
When I talked to their board president, no. On Friday, I spoke with her. She had no idea when I talked to her.
Okay,
So it
so
sounds
we
like
can-
this might be a bigger conversation, so.
Well, so my understanding on page 88, the second goal is the full elected board of the park district and all of you.
And that's,
Do a meeting.
that foundation goes, I believe, as part of that conversation too, but I do believe that we did say we would meet with them, and if we are, we should follow up with that.
Well, they had asked that we wait, the park district board had asked that we have time to fill their position. If, it seems like they haven't been able to fill their position or haven't done so yet, so we can reach out and
Yeah.
request a meeting, and I can, they can decide whether they want to do that now or not.
Yeah, if you're just able to just check it.
I think they've scheduled a special meeting to select their person.
I'm unaware of that.
Yeah, Sue handed the mayor a document today where they had called a special meeting to do that.
Okay. Do you know when that meeting is?
I think it's in a few days.
Oh, so we'll reach out and see if they, in the next couple weeks or when you have.
Okay.
You all have several, a busier meeting schedule coming up just because we're starting the budget process.
Right,
but-
right.
Anything else in effective governance? Okay, and I think that wraps up the strategic plan section review. So we will continue to work on these goals and report back our progress.
There was a time when, and I don't think we've done it, I know we haven't done it with this new board, where we had, I don't know if workshop is but we had a presentation on what to do in terms of an emergency in the village in relating to the press, what the individual responsibilities of the trustees might be, what is advisable to say if there was an emergency in the village? Who do we direct reporters to, if there was a tragedy or an emergency in town, those type.
Like
No, not FEMA, just anything. I mean,
Right.
if there was a horrible accident, or if a truck caught fire, oil truck, or if there was, any kind of emergency that would attract attention from the press, where they would come in, and a lot of times what they'll do is call trustees, and say, hey, Trustee Gutierrez, this is going on in your community, what are your thoughts on this? And we used to, I know at one time we gave direction to the board as to if you get a call from the press on these kind of things, here's the course of action you should take, here's how far you should go in your comment, and then here's where you should redirect them to, the appropriate individuals. And I think that might be worthwhile to reinforce or to reiterate for this board, since, we've got a lot of new
Sure.
members
I could speak to that a little bit, just real quickly. Anytime that there's any significant impact to our village services, whether it's due to natural disaster, man-made, water main problems, cybersecurity issues, anything of that sort, that begins the actions of the emergency operations plan in some form. It could be as simple as the department heads are planning together, or it's as large as an official activation of the emergency operations center with individual assignments of each individual party. Any time that we as a staff congregate and start to have those actions take place, any trustee would be part of that immediate communication, most likely through Dave as our public information officer, to help to decipher what is the message, what is the information, what's critical information for you to know, to understand, and to respond to. And you would all be part of that. Now, with that said, we have different forms of training that we can offer as well. We can sit down with anybody that's interested in having a discussion about that, but then it's also reiterated by our NIMS training and refresher training that we do when we start to plan for emergency disaster drills. And you'll all be part of hearing more about that as we roll those out in the future. Our plan from emergency operations and emergency management is to try to hold one tabletop and one live exercise per year or every other year for staff. And anytime that we can integrate the trustees into those types of drills, you'll be a part of that.
Okay, great, because I know it early on in my tenure as a board member, I was given a vest, a yellow, the yellow emergency vest, and a hard hat, and saying that if something happens, and you have to rush out and do something, here's your gear. And I don't think any of these guys have their hard hat or their yellow vest, so, yes, go ahead. Of course I do.
But the other part of that is the day-to-day, where it's not an emergency that rises to the level.
Sure,
of-
yeah,
So
that's an
maybe, Dave, you
extreme.
can talk about our communications plan, and we can schedule a time to review that more in depth, but.
Yeah, we can definitely do that at another time, but I would always just encourage all board members to refer any press calls you get to me, or if there is a statement, and we do go through this with the mayor a lot of times prior to speaking with the press or doing anything, to go over what our talking points, what our bullet points would be, or what you want to say, just so we can be prepared. Because, the press will try and just get a statement just so they can do it. And I would always encourage you to just call me and refer them to me and give them my number, and then I can take it from there, and then we can get together, have a plan on what we're going to say and present the information. I don't know if properly is the right word, but properly, or at least in an organized message, so we can get in an organized way, so we can get our message out properly.
Yeah, consistent
And
message.
so our plan it's easier when we're all down in our offices together. But if the mayor gets a call from the press, because they usually like to try to call him, is that Dave will usually call that reporter first to understand the angle or what they're looking for, so that the mayor can speak to those points and address them, versus going in cold and not really knowing where they're coming from or what they're calling about.
Yeah, I've just seen in some other instances where the press has interviewed trustees from communities and asking them for comments. So I'm just wondering, if and when that should happen to us, we need to have a coordinated plan of action.
And we're happy if you do want to talk to the press about a subject that involves the village, that we just have a conversation so that you have those facts to talk, and
Okay.
we're happy to help you with
No,
those.
that's all I had on that.
Okay.
Yeah, the concern is misinformation. Like, things are, the listening devices that are out there now. What was it, the Arlington Cardinal picks up things, voices here and there. They were full of misinformation on numerous fronts. So we tried to focus that through our information officer, which is Dave Webb. And it's-
So I have one other item under my report, Mayor. A while back, Trustee Porter, you had requested a conversation regarding ammunition or gun tax, as well as funding of victims of gun violence. So we did some research. Included in your packet was information about the Illinois Crime Victims Compensation Program that's out there, and the chief can speak to that and its funding. And then we also did some research on whether other communities have a local tax that they impose. We were unable to find one other than the Cook County, and Bernie can speak to the challenges to that tax or what's going on in that realm. So I didn't know which, maybe Chief, you can speak to the fund, just so everybody knows that.
Yeah, sure. So the Illinois Attorney General's office has a crime victims compensation program that's been in place since the 70s. And what this provides is funds for individuals or families of people who are victims of violent crime. And in August of this past year, in August of 22, that amount was raised from $27,000 to up to $45,000. And I spell out in the agenda item, what some of the requirements are, but it covers a pretty wide range of expenses that crime victims might face. Anything from, funeral expenses, lost wages, crime scene cleanup, medical bills, transportation, tuition, relocation, quite a wide range of expenses. This is something that the Attorney General has published a fact sheet on, which is also attached to the agenda item, that has some, Q&A and some general directions on how someone can go about filing for that. And when we handle violent crimes, this is something that our detective would do with the victim or the victim's family, and explain the program and help them, in some cases, help them fill out the application. And then from there, it goes to the Attorney General's office, and all the administration of the funds and the program is handled directly between the victim or the family and the Illinois Attorney General.
So the young man that recently lost his life over there would be eligible for this fund?
Correct.
Okay. And you communicate that with?
We do. We communicate that directly with the family.
Okay, so, and then the second part, I think, was the request to see whether there were any local.
There's been a move in certain communities to have assistance specifically for victims of gun violence. And that was my interest in exploring the possibility of that being an additional resource that we could provide from the village, funded by a tax on the gun range.
I think what we found was with this significant increase from the Illinois crime victims compensation, that funding source is being provided for through this other source. And there have been challenges with a tax. Cook County is facing those challenges right now. And so this being well-funded, that might address your concerns about those victims having a funding source.
I wasn't aware of the increase. When was that, Chief? How was it?
August of 2022, it nearly doubled.
Second part?
No, I don't know if there's any questions about the Cook County challenges, but that's all I had on this side.
Let's go with that. If they've doubled the amount, and if there's that amount available, let's continue, and if that's sufficient to, provide the help that we want, for victims of violence, up to and including, gun violence, and, let's monitor it and see.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have this evening, Mayor.
Okay, moving on. Village Clerk's report.
Fabulous. Just a few little updates. Just wanted to say thank you for everybody that came out for the Touch a Truck on Saturday. Huge success. Thank you, especially to Public Works. Thank you. Your guys are amazing, especially Michelle, Salazar, and Rob. They outdid themselves and all your guys that came. So thank you for that. Last night we kicked off the Wednesday Night Live. Tribuco was there, and they were an amazing salsa band. So if you haven't been to the Wednesday Night Lives, the next one is the Dynamics on June 28th at 7 p.m. at East Harbor Park. And then the following one is Breakfast Club on July 19th. And that one is back at the Hanover Park Sports Complex. And don't forget our movie in the park. June 23rd is Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, and that's at East Harbor Park, and that's at dusk. And we do have fun events coming up, but I'll let the other trustees speak on those ones. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Corporation Council report?
No report, thank you.
She left.
Yasmin's gone?
Had a birthday celebration.
Oh, it's her birthday.
At 9.
It's her birthday today.
We should have saved.
I don't think she went.
Trying to poop, never mind. I'm not going.
Trustee Prigi.
Trustee Prigi.
He's down here now.
It's over there.
He's over here now.
Yeah, why are you looking over there?
He moved.
You put me over here. You moved them.
Bob, you got it.
Just want to say happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and that'll do it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Husani, we're glad you're here and not in Springfield.
Had to come back.
Yes.
We had a ribbon cutting event last week, Friday. Elite RF. They are Amplifier Manufacturing, and happy to welcome them in Hanover Park. Seems like each client is about 10 million in revenue, so it's going to bring a healthy business to the town. So I'm really excited about that. I wanted to know more about what's happening, why the residents are complaining about these boulders. This is something that's just keep coming, the last board meeting as well as this board meeting. I know there's an ordinance in place, and these boulders have been placed for 30 years or more. What in effect that we activated this ordinance? I know it's not a recent ordinance.
Yeah, so there is an ordinance, it's been on the books for a while. We did include some information in a previous village update or highlighter newsletter. We can put together a more in-depth, the background of what led, some of these incidents that led to moving forward with this program to remove them. Basically, and it's moving the boulders off the parkway. So we did hear some of the residents speak about wanting some type of barrier to their home or a corner. There's nothing to say they can't move that boulder onto their property. It just has to come off of the parkway. And we've had some damage to some plows and to some other vehicle apparatus and just some liability concerns and issues from the village's perspective that we've asked the residents to take them off of the parkway so they can move them onto their own property. We will take them away if they don't want them or they don't want to move them onto their property. We will take them and dispose of them for them. So we're trying to make this as fair across the board and as easy as possible. But we've had some issues come up.
Yeah.
What prompted the sudden, I'm sorry, this trustee was saying, go ahead, sir.
So you can
the
follow.
intent is not to problem solve that tonight.
No, that's not, I'm asking. I need some more details on this, some more information on this. That's
We'll
what I'm
provide
asking.
you with the memo.
And-
We
and
can
I didn't
provide you with
expect,
the memo and we
Juliana is
can-
going to give any information today. I'm just referring that. So, and also about, was there about the grass that, weeds or something, and we're putting off a letter saying that we're going to put a lien on their house or something. That's a really harsh letter to go out. So I need some more information on that as to why are we doing such letters instead, common sense. And even mayor agreed to it as to how it should be addressed. It was a little harsh. So that would be great to provide that in next board meeting or when you say Juliana. But I just need to understand and then have a clear communication with the residents. So we're not having complaints like this and for their own safety. These are the concerns, so they're valid concerns. That's it for my report.
Thank you. Oh, who's next here?
Please.
Trustee Gutierrez. And
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't have much to report, just to let you know well, first of all, happy Father's Day to every dad out there, Father's Day. And then on June 20th is our resources and refreshments from 6 PM to 8 PM in this very room. We have Bloomingdale Township, Hanover Township, and the Township of Schaumburg, and Wayne Township, all the townships coming in to let folks know what resources we have out there for them. So I look forward to this event. Please invite your friends, families, and neighbors. And then,
I thought you were announcing my birthday, June 20th.
it's also Trustee Husseini's birthday on that day.
No, we're gonna celebrate together.
He wants to make sure you know that. You can celebrate it by coming here and learning about that. I also want to thank our folks, our residents that are here, that are coming up and speaking. It gets lonely sometimes, just us here. So thank you for coming, and maybe we can't problem solve everything, but we need to know that these things are happening. And so I'm grateful that Juliana and her team are going to at least give us a copy of those letters so we know what they look like, so we can see what's happening as well. So thank you so much. Thank you, that's all.
Well, thank you. Trustee Porter.
Thank you. I want to say also, happy Father's Day to all the fathers. I'm sure there's still plenty of reservation space left at the restaurants. You won't have to worry about getting a spot at your favorite place, not like on another parental acknowledgement day that shall go unmentioned.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's an important.
Don't dads like to grill?
That's what you say, oh, you like to grill in the backyard. Why go to a restaurant?
Right.
On a serious note, we are having our Juneteenth celebration this Saturday at the Ontarioville Plaza. We have a wonderful event that is planned. We have bands, we have a catered barbecue vendor, Uncle Bubs from Westmont, has tremendous barbecue and barbecue chicken. There's going to be face painters for the kids, games, the 40-plus Double Dutch Club. Seen them do the Double Dutch. It's just takes me back to my childhood when I used to watch the little girls do Double Dutch. It's going to be a great day from 12 to 5 at Ontarioville Plaza. If you can stop by for a few minutes, or I'm sure if you come, you're going to be enticed to stay for the whole event. So please stop by and help us out with that. I want to thank the CIDC committee. They've been very helpful. I think it's the first time that we've really had a collaboration between committees, and I'd like to see more of that. Yes. And we've pledged to help them with some of their future events. But I think that's the way that we should go, and for one committee to assist the other, both financially and with human resources. So thank you very much. We really do appreciate the participation and the assistance. I also thank the residents that have shown up. I hear you on your concerns about the boulders. I've lived in Hanover Park for 40 years now. I was not aware that that was an issue. I used to live, as I mentioned, on Curtis Avenue, so I know the area that you speak of very well. And we'll find out what's going on, and we'll get you some answers, and hopefully get you some resolution that you'll be comfortable with and that you'll be pleased with. But I encourage you, whenever you have an issue, you're doing the right thing, is to come and let us know, because we're only here because we want to represent you. And your needs and concerns are at the top of our priority list. You're the ones that we serve, and we want you to know that, and know that that is our mission, and that's always our goal, to do that. As I mentioned, the mayor and I are working very aggressively on acquiring a licensee for our 2 cannabis spots that are allowed in our ordinance, and we feel that we'll be taking some things to economic development to do some site planning, do some site location, and we've got a couple of parties that we think are ready to go to that level. So we're very excited about that potential and that possibility. And that's it for me.
Very good. Trustee Kunkel.
Yes, I attended the Schaumburg Airport Board
earlier last week, they unexcavated the time capsule that was put there when the building was dedicated. All of their Delta and Echo hangars are all full now, so it's like a turnaround of the economy. It was getting bare. A lot of news agencies moved out and went to Executive Airport. They're starting to come back and everything back to this area here. So that's a good thing for us. They're also doing an instrument approach study out there. So for anybody that knows the pilot, I know the mayor knows what that means. Even though he's not a pilot, he knows what that means. They met with Tracon to do that. Met with Suburban O'Hare Commission finally after a few years. We met with JDA and the preference of options, or options H and B, as the mayor had said. And, well, Yasmin's not here, but she needs to know about H and B. Other than that, Juneteenth is Saturday, Father's Day is Sunday. If you're not a father, you have a father. So thank your father, okay? Other than that, enjoy yourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. We have no executive session, and we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.